Things just got worse and worse and worse as the night went on. Again, valiant effort down the stretch for the Bucks. Just too little, too late. Let's go down and let's see what Coach Fletch and the rest of the crew has to say. And as always, go Bulls. So let's head into the locker room right now and see what the guys have to say about that one. Wow. Where do the Buccaneers go from here? What an incredible atmosphere. What a good win for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They snapped a 7-game winning streak. How we feeling, Bucs Nation? It's time to party, baby. Super jacked up on this fantastic football Friday. This is the Recher podcast. Happy October 3rd, 2025. I love you all. Appreciate everybody here in the Tampa area or abroad that you're tuning into the program today. Before we get started, before I say anything else, it is October 3rd. Okay, and no, we're not making a Mean Girls reference. We have to say happy birthday, feliz cumpleaños to the OG. To the one person who, if she wasn't here, I sure as hell wouldn't be here. A big happy birthday and tons of love and adoration to my grandma, 88 years young today. If you remember, she was one of the original Goon Squad, Goonettes, supporter of the Pat and Aaron Show. She is a huge sports fan. She loves her Mets, but she also tunes into our Tampa Bay sports teams to support us from all the way up there in New York. She is one of the greatest people, if not the greatest person I've ever met in my entire life. She was the one very early on in my life, says it doesn't matter if you're black, white, green, or blue. If you're good to me, I'm good to you. Love her so much. Grandma, I miss you very, very much. I'll see you when I go home for Thanksgiving. My nieces and nephews affectionately call her Gigi. I call you Grandma, and I love you so much. You've always been there for me. And, man, I miss you, and I love you, and I hope you have a wonderful day. She's going to IHOP, I think, with my mom today. That's their place. They love going to IHOP. But, Grandma, I love you so much, and I appreciate everything that you've done for me and our family over the years. Again, all of us wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. So, I love you. I can't wait to see you in a couple of weeks for Thanksgiving. So, happy birthday, Grandma. 88 years young. Really good stuff there. Can't start the show without showing Grandma some love. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. I am everywhere. Like and subscribe on YouTube as well. It's a fantastic football Friday. It's football, baby. What a weekend ahead we have. And don't forget to show some love to our partners here. Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC, for all your residential and commercial needs. 813-244-0956. And, of course, our new friends over at Evra Health, the Ever Health Injury Report every Thursday at 12:30, usually with Dr. Carlos Rodriguez. Another wonderful segment yesterday. We're going to play one of the big clips from the show yesterday because it pertains to what we have to talk about in our opening segment. Scott Reynolds is going to join us from Pewter Report at 1 o'clock. We're going to talk about whatever the hell happened last night at Benchmark International Arena. I also have a very, very big announcement when it comes to the Tampa Bay Lightning and a new show that I am involved with when it comes to the Bolts. So tune in right around 12:45. We'll talk all things Lightning, and we'll talk about that new show that I am involved with. Really, really excited about that. And, of course, what to watch this weekend. You know me. I'm watching more than just football on the tube, and there's plenty to get into. Hopefully, the weather looks a little murky. Hopefully it gets a little nicer over the next couple hours so we can enjoy a nice weekend here in the Tampa Bay area. We know that the Bolts are wrapping up their preseason. First regular season game will be next Thursday against the Ottawa Senators, and the Buccaneers travel to the Pacific Northwest to take on the Seattle Seahawks Sunday at 4:05. We'll get into that here momentarily. Let's get to you guys real quick before we start with our Buccaneers talk. Shout out to our guy, David Terry, with the $10 super chat. Again, I can't do this without all of you guys, and DT is one of our valued. He's one of the prime Jaybirds right there. You are the rare bird, a rare Jaybird. We love you, David Terry. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Dave was texting me last night. I'm like, dude, don't tell me. I'm not even home yet. I was still at baseball practice. I had to catch up on it. Jay Bird, probably the most entertaining preseason hockey game I've ever seen. No doubt about it. Hockey game almost broke out at the fight last night. Got that right. Robert Cochran, yo, make a statement. That is tonight as well. USF in action tonight over at Raymond James Stadium. I'm actually going to go for a half, and then after that, I'm actually going to collaborate with it right now. If you follow me on all social media platforms at Recher, I got something going on tonight with my guy, James Donlin. You guys remember James Donlin? He was our producer, our last producer for the Jay and Zach show over on 95.3 WDAE and AM 620. And he is just freaking hilarious, this guy. Tonight at 10 o'clock, if you guys aren't doing anything, come on by to the Commodore in Ybor City, CommodoreComedy.com. 10 o'clock tonight. It's a late night show at the Commodore in Ybor. Again, go to CommodoreComedy.com. And I'm going to be a special guest on his improv comedy show tonight in Ybor City. So if you're looking for something to do after the USF game, I'm going to probably a half, maybe a little bit more than a half of the USF game before I head over to the Commodore. So if you want to come out and have some fun tonight in Ybor, go to the Commodore. Again, CommodoreComedy.com. I will be there. It's going to be a lot of fun with our pal, James, James Donlin, the comedian extraordinaire. Such a funny guy. So yeah, come on out. Happy grandmama Recher. Come on. Recher, not Recher. Happy Friday, Jay, and everyone. Our guy Dolan. There you go. Benny knows the deal. Happy birthday, Grandma Recher. I feel bad because her last name's not technically Recher because it's my mom's mom. Her last name's Richards. So my mom went from Richards to Recher. But she just takes it in stride for many years. It's just like, Richards. There you go. Go Bulls, baby. You got that right, buddy. If 49ers can do it, so can the Bucks. No more bitching about injuries. I've been saying that. You know, Greg, from the beginning. You know this, buddy. You know this. Winners find a way. Whiners find excuses. Chris Hall, it's almost like having two heated rivals play 3 preseason games in a row is a bad idea. Chris, I'm glad that you phrased it like that. At 12:45, we are going to talk about why I think Lightning and Panthers could be the most heated rivalry in sports right now. We'll talk about that at 12:45. Look at Sean Thomason with the $10 super chat. Sean, thank you so much, man. I really, really do appreciate, man. Every little bit helps, man. Thank you so much. Benny with a $5 super chat. You're always there, Benny. Thank you so much. I certainly don't take it for granted. David Terry as well. I know Robert Cochran will be out there. Our starters will be out by halftime, hopefully, for USF again at the Commodore tonight in Ybor. Go to CommodoreComedy.com. It's only like $15 to get in. Come on out, Jaybirds, and come hang out with me and my pal James Donlin. All right, let's get into it. We got the news earlier today, about 2 hours ago. Jeremy Fowler from ESPN. Bucky Irving expected to miss Sunday's game versus the Seahawks and is in danger of missing next week versus the 49ers, per his source. Now, I want you to, again, let's go back to what we saw and what we heard yesterday from Dr. Rodriguez. I think everybody else out there kind of agreed with me. We really enjoyed that first segment last week with Dr. Rodriguez. We're like, man, this guy definitely knows what he's talking about. But this week, it's seemingly getting better and better. But right now, when we have this injury report and we're wondering like what the deal is with Bucky, this shouldn't be a surprise to you. If you listen to this show, you know that this was a distinct possibility, whether or not he was going to be in the lineup on Sunday and how long he could be out. So here's Dr. Rodriguez yesterday. We asked him, Doc, what do you see from this Bucky Irving injury? At the time, we asked him if he was going to play Sunday, but I think we had an idea that he wasn't going to be in there. But, Doc, how long could Buccaneers running back Bucky Irving be out with this foot sprain? How concerned are you about the injury to Bucky Irving? From what we know, the little information that we do have, how long do you think he could be out?
So watching the game, when you look at the video, his foot was caught pointed down right on the grass field, and then it got twisted. Originally, you think, oh, it's probably an ankle, but then it's reported as a foot sprain. When you're looking at a foot sprain, you're really looking at what we call a midfoot strain. So I don't know if you're going to be able to see my foot.
Yeah.
But basically, you have your toes here, you have your heel here, and this is basically the basis of this bridge right here. the midfoot sits right here, right at the top of the bridge. So there's a lot of strain there. Every time you're stepping down, there's a lot of strain through here. So when we put a midfoot sprain, look at the area right here, and we call this the Liz Frank joint. And that joint is very important because it offers that stabilization of the bridge. So anytime you go to step, anytime you go to walk or run, pivot, there's going to be a lot of force on that bridge, and now it's going to be unstable. There's different grades to it. A grade 1 injury, maybe you're out a week, maybe 2. For a grade 2 injury, you're out about 3 to 4 weeks. Grade 3, which is the worst type of injury, ligaments are torn, you need surgery, that's season ending. So they haven't said anything about surgery on Bucky. So I'm thinking it's a grade 1 or grade 2. So anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks out. Usually what you do is you mobilize it, you put it on crutches, you put it in a boot to keep any pressure from it, and then allow the ligaments to heal up.
Doesn't get better than Dr. Rodriguez, does it? I mean, my God. So we shouldn't be surprised that Bucky is out this week. Don't be surprised if he's out next week against the 49ers. And then the following game, he's going to be on turf against the Detroit Lions. I think this is going to be almost a month before we see Bucky. There's no reason to bring this guy back. No reason at all. Take your time. You need him for the end of the season. Now, the other thing was when we spoke about Bucky Irving before the season, when we spoke about a guy like Rachaad White before the season, and there were people out there saying, hey, get rid of Rachaad White, trade Rachaad White, we have Sean Tucker. No. Hell no. Hell no. It's like Tracy Morgan, and what was that movie he was in with Bruce Willis and Sean William Scott, whatever, Stifler, who was in the back seat, and he was like, no, hell no. We were saying this before the season even started. Bucky had 3 different injuries last year. You don't think the Bucs knew that? The Bucs knew that. He's not the biggest guy in the world. Ian and I spoke about this on Monday. Buccaneers are playing this guy too much. You got to take your time. Take your time. Don't try to do too much. Don't think, like injuries are going to be part of the process of this entire 17-game season. You need all hands on deck. We've realized wide receiver position was a position of depth, position of strength. Bro, don't be so quick to get rid of guys. You need everybody on your 53-man roster. You need everybody sometimes on your practice squad. Look at the corners. You're elevating Bryce Hall probably this week. You're getting more guys involved with the program here. Is the Buccaneers offense going to suffer without a guy like Bucky Irving? No doubt. No doubt. But with that being said, they have a guy like Rachaad White. They have a guy like Sean Tucker that can come in and do the job. So I have faith that they're going to be able to go up there and still run their offense. You're getting week 2 now with Chris Godwin, with Emeka Egbuka, and some of these other guys. Do you use the tight end maybe a little bit more? And for all the talk of like, what about the tight end and their lack of their involvement in the passing game? Listen, part of the reason why Baker's still on 2 feet is because Cade Otton and Payne Durham, they've done whatever they could. They have done whatever they've done whatever they can to help out in the blocking scheme. O'Keefe no longer out there, right? So that's another guy that's kind of lost throughout the season. We talk a lot about Cody Mauch out for the season and Kalijah Cansey. Don't make light of the O'Keefe injury as well. He did a lot of the dirty work, special teams, helping out blocking offensively. So that's where the tight ends are at. But now maybe this weekend, maybe you get Cade Otton a little bit more involved. You're getting week 2 now for this 3/5 of your offensive line being back to where they're used to being with Graham Barton and Bredesen and Tristan Wirfs. And then, dealing with, let's see what happens with Charlie Heck and who's going to play right guard. So you're going to get a step closer to some semblance of normalcy, but I'm not necessarily worried about the running game. I think those guys will be okay. Sean Tucker probably taking less snaps in the return game. That's why you have Josh Williams. And Josh Williams, if you've been listening to me all week, he is cut from that same cloth as Cam Johnson. Cam Johnson, a guy that for the last 2 years, everybody around the Buccaneers were telling us, unprovoked, watch out for this kid. This kid's got some talent. He was one of the numbers that they wanted to keep in that crowded wide receiver room. They saw something in that kid. Same thing with Josh Williams. Josh Williams, undrafted kid out of LSU. Now, are we going to see him in the offense? Are we going to see him running the football? Probably not. Probably not. But with that being said, could he help in the return game? No doubt about it. What have we seen so far? No changes for the Bucs and injuries today. This is from our pal Greg Allman from Fox Sports. Seems like no changes for the Bucs and injuries today. Mike Evans, Bucky Irving, Jamel Dean, Benjamin Morrison, and Christian Izien all not practicing, and we'll find out from Todd Bowles in a little bit, but likely to be ruled out for Sunday. Jamel Dean working on the side with the trainer, but didn't have a helmet as he stood with the corners. He might be the closest of the 5, but no better than doubtful as a game status. So I think not much of a surprise. And Brick Stroud saying about an hour ago as well, Bucky Irving, Jamel Dean, Morrison, Izien, and Evans not practicing, expected to be out for Sunday's game at Seattle. Does it suck? Of course it sucks. Is it something that happened earlier in the week and last week where the Buccaneers have plenty of time to kind of deal with it? Yeah, no doubt about it. So it's the next man up mentality. We mentioned this with Martin Gramatica earlier this week. I had this conversation with Ian when I saw him on Wednesday night. Can't worry about who's not there. Ian would tell me, man, when you're in the building and you're injured, people, sometimes coaches don't even look at you. Out of sight, out of mind. They're not worried about it. They're just worried about the guys that they can take care of business right now and help them win this Sunday. Shout out to Chan. Sorry I missed the doc yesterday. Let's go Bucks and Knowles. You can go back and check it out. It's right here on the channel. Sergio, need to add a handicap sign to the Bucks logo this week. Hey, whatever works. Who needs a win more, Bucks or Knowles? $2. Thank you so much for the super chat, our good pal Greg the Cruz. They use Bucky too much. They need to split the carries more with Rashad and Sean. This is something that Ian and I spoke about on Monday. And then there we go. There we go. Now we see with the injury and Chan saying, I'm standing on 10 toes on the following. Due to the injuries, if the Bucks make the playoffs, he deserves Coach of the Year considerations. Yeah, there you go. How about some positivity? Put some positivity for Todd Bowles. I think Rachaad White's a badass since day one. Rashad might get an angry run separate. He could. Seattle might bring the best thing out of him, right? We never really know. Morrison has been injury prone so far. Is it due to not being used to the heat or humidity or something more in depth that he's dealt with since college? Maybe light reach too far. That's the big thing, right? It's a fair question to pose because when you look at everything, Benjamin Morrison was a first-round talent, but the reason why he slipped to the second round is because he dealt with that hip injury. And this is a guy that, again, Dr. Rodriguez and I spoke about this on the last show yesterday, where he was dealing with this hamstring injury in the preseason. Some guys are just injury prone, man. And I had a conversation with somebody yesterday, and we were talking about like the training staff. Like, dude, these are some of the best trainers around. And you don't think Mike Evans works his ass off to get back? You don't think Mike Evans has looked into why he gets all these hamstring injuries? Like, these guys are like built like freaking, like they're carved out of granite. Sometimes when your muscles are that tight, that's what happens, man. That's what happens. So I'm not in the blame game. I think it's bad luck. I think it's something to certainly keep an eye on for sure. But when we look at teams like the Detroit Lions and you say what happened to them last year, right? I mean, sometimes it just doesn't go away. Sometimes it isn't something that just happens in the first quarter of the situation. So, or first quarter of the season. So I just hope it is like that. I hope guys do get healthier and we don't see them sustain any other long-term injuries. But man, there's just the names on that list just keep racking up and just more and more and more. Dave Velasquez, after watching that game last night, we need to get our corners healthy. 49ers had no names catching the ball out there. Yes, but what goes into that? What goes into no names being able to make those plays? To me, it's good play calling, good route running. That's why the expectation of their demise on my behalf was probably a little bit short-sighted when you think about it. Kyle Shanahan, for all of the faults, and again, Andy Reid went through this during his time with the Eagles too, before now he's a future Super Bowl head coach. Sometimes you have failures in the postseason, right? But you have a ton of success in the regular season. Like, that's what people forget. When you talk about postseason failures, what you fail to add into that discussion is you have to get there. So you're obviously doing something right in the regular season to get to the postseason. You can't have postseason failures without regular season success. So let's not forget that. Kyle Shanahan, man. I mean, my goodness. The guy's just such an incredible play caller. He puts his players in a position to succeed. Even when guys go down to injury, listen, they're ready to roll. And the Bucs are going to have to be able to show that Sunday against the Seattle Seahawks, or they're going to be in trouble and they'll be in 3-2. Did I miss the convo about Geeky getting a goal last night? 3 games against the Panthers is sweet. Go Bolts. 12:45. We will talk about that as well. And Bart Hill, what up, Jaybird? What is going on, Bart Hill? Another one of our valued viewers and listeners from way back in the day. You are the best. Goal Bolts on the ice for practice this morning. James Finley, Chafee Geeky, Gonsalves Point, Bjorkstrand, Sorelli, Gord, Holmberg, Gergensons, Gensel, Kucherov, Lilleberg, Crozier, Carlisle, McDonough, Moser, Johansson, and Andre Vasilevsky. Beautiful. No Hagel, no Chernak, no Hedman, no Radish, no Halverson on the ice today. All right. So, best matchup in the NFL this weekend. Have you guys seen what the slate is this weekend? Have you seen these games? When you look at it, and last night, listen, overtime, good game there, an NFC West matchup. The Niners prevail in OT against the Rams, 26-23. Stafford threw for 389. Kendrick Bourne came up big. It's a good thing they went back out and got Kendrick Bourne, right? Returning home to San Francisco to play with the Niners once again. San Francisco 4-1 through 5, man. Not bad at all. 1 o'clock game on Sunday. Well, actually, no, we'll start with the 9:30 game on Sunday. Vikings and Browns from London, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Spurs as Dylan Gabriel gets the start for Cleveland here in week 5 against the Vikings. They'll have Carson Wentz starting once again. Don't be surprised if the Cleveland Browns win this one. Don't be surprised if Dylan Gabriel, because we know what he brings to the table. You're not going to see many deep passes. He's very accurate, one of the most accurate quarterbacks in college football history. And the Vikings, as I say that, I also think about who the Vikings defensive coordinator is, right? And I think of Brian Flores, and he's got to be licking his chops when he knows that he's facing a rookie quarterback. But when there's no tape on him, all you can do is go back to college and hope that that helps you with your defensive scheme. I don't know if it's going to be the prettiest game out there. I don't know if it's going to be a high scoring. I would anticipate that it's going to be a low scoring affair. As of now, the total is 36.5 points. That might be the lowest total of the weekend. Let me check. Oh, by far. By far. There's no other games under 41.5. Wow. 41.5 is the lowest total. There's a couple of games of 41.5. They are 5 points under that. Low scoring affair is right. Vikings and Browns. 1 o'clock starts. Giants and Saints. The Giants can really put the kibosh on the season for the Saints here if they can come out on top. Jackson Dart, second career start over there at the Caesar Superdome against New Orleans. It's been an ugly go so far for the Saints and Spencer Rattler. What a terrible start to his career. Something about the Giants, man. I think they can build off that when they beat a good Chargers team at home. They're 0-2 on the road, but man, if they can dominate the line of scrimmage with that incredible defensive line and their offensive line can just help out a little bit with Jackson Dart, you never know. I think the Giants are going to win this one to go to 2-3 on the season. Sucks not having Malik Neighbors. He's gone for the season, obviously, with an ACL injury. We mentioned Buccaneers Seahawks. That might be the best game of the weekend because just listen to some of these games. The Colts host the Raiders. 3-1 Indianapolis, 1-3 Las Vegas. The Colts coming off of their first loss of the season against the Rams last week. I know they're 6.5 points favorites at home. That's not too appealing. Listen to this dumpster fire. Cowboys and Jets. Cowboys and Jets. Oh, boy. Really? From MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, Dallas is actually a 2.5 point favorite. I don't know. 1-2 Cowboys after their 40-40 tie against the Green Bay Packers. The Jets 0-4 after their loss last week to the Dolphins on Monday Night Football. Did the Jets finally get their first win of the season? I'm going to say no. I think the Jets and the Saints both fall to 0-5. This could be the best game of the weekend outside of the Buccaneers and the Seattle Seahawks. The Philadelphia Eagles now 4-0. They're 2-0 at home, and they welcome in the Broncos that are 2-2. They've lost both of their games on the road, but they traveled to the Link to take on the Eagles. Philly only a 3.5-point favorite in this one. And I think when you look at Sean Payton and with Bo Nix and J.K. Dobbins, they're going to try to maintain and run the football. And we know that their defense can really cause some problems. And I wonder if the Broncos look at what the Buccaneers were able to do in the second half of the game last week at Raymond James Stadium and try to, do some of those same things to have Jalen Hurts at odds with his receivers. A.J. Brown over here posting cryptic tweets. Like, we're in the age now where these professional athletes go out there and they post things on their social media platforms, and everybody just starts wondering, like, oh, what's that about? What do they mean? Are they referring to the lack of communication or the lack of rapport or chemistry with their team? And then a couple days later, it's like, no, it's not about that. It's something else. Like, okay, fine, whether it is or not. Like, to me, it just, regardless if you're telling the truth or not. But when you're a guy that's a professional athlete, like, that there's a possibility that people are going to think that you're talking shit about your team, right? And I just don't understand why people want to they want to upset the apple cart like that. Why go on social media? Like, you're only going to draw more attention to yourself. And then when you ask questions about it and you get perturbed, like, you bring that negativity, you bring that attention on yourself. I don't feel bad for you. You did that to you. Be careful for the upset there. I wouldn't be surprised if Denver goes into Philly and wins that game. I saw some warts in the Eagles game plan last week against the Bucs. Don't be surprised if Denver, we saw it last year when they came into Raymond James and beat the Bucs. I wouldn't be surprised if they beat the Eagles this weekend. Dolphins and Panthers, a couple of 1-3 teams. The Dolphins get on board with the dub, but it was over the lowly Jets. It's in Carolina. We saw what Carolina was able to do a couple of weeks ago against Atlanta. I think they're able to bounce back with Bryce Young and Dave Canales and Tet McMillan. I'll go with the Panthers in that one. Texans-Ravens. Texans-Ravens in Baltimore, M&T Bank Stadium. When you looked at the schedule before the season and you saw this one as a Week 5 matchup, did you think that both of these guys are going to be 1-3? Did you think both of these teams would be struggling as bad as they have so far this season? I don't think anybody saw that coming. Nobody. But that's where we're at. 1-3. That means after this week, one of these teams will probably be 1-4 unless there's another crazy ass tie. The Ravens got to get back to it. I saw something with Dan Orlovsky today that on first and second down, nobody runs the ball fewer with their running backs than the Baltimore Ravens, like 32nd in the league. And with Lamar Jackson out, Houston's actually a 2.5-point favorite on the road here. I'd be very careful about that play call there, because as bad as it's been for the Ravens, they still have some good talent on the outside. They still have a bunch of good player makers on defense. And you kind of lean into Derrick Henry in this spot, don't you? Ravens, a 2.5-point dog here. I might lay some money on Baltimore in that one. Titans, Cardinals, Kyler Murray, they host the 0-4 Titans. So this is an easy call as well. I don't think the Titans get their first win. Kyler Murray better they're 1-1 at home, but they have, in my mind, what could be the best tight end in football right now, and Trey McBride. Go with the Cards, going to 3-2 in the NFC West. Lions and Bengals. Lions going into Cincinnati. They're 10.5-point favorites on the road. Browning in, Burrow out. We all know that. And Lions are firing on all cylinders. I'd be very surprised if they didn't move to 4-1. 10.5 is a lot of points, so I don't know about that. But straight up, I mean, Detroit's got to win this one. And then the Commanders and the Chargers. LA, after the loss to the Giants last week, they're home. Jaden Daniels back under center. Maybe he's not under center a ton. But what do the Chargers do? This is an intriguing game as well. This is another one that I'm keeping a close eye on. Because if you're looking, let's say you're a team like the Giants, right? And you're 1-3. Chargers win this game. They can really help you out. Commanders lose their 2-3. The Giants win their 2-3. And you're looking at Dallas and Philly. I mean, watch out, because there's going to be one of these teams right now when you look at their records, and it could be the Giants, could be somebody else that's 1-3, and you're like, I think I know what that team's all about through 4 games. Well, if that team could go on just a little bit of a run where they win 3 of 4, right? If they win 4 of 5, now you're looking at it and you're going, man, now they're 5-4. They might be in the hunt for a wild card spot. Crazier things have happened in the National Football League. And then an absolute, I think, shit show on Sunday night. 8.5 points for Buffalo. They're favorites at home against the Patriots. a high of 71 there in Orchard Park. I think that's a low number. I know it's a division game, but man, I'm taking Buffalo in the points there, 8.5. In the Monday night matchup, the Chiefs go to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. The Chiefs on the road, 3.5-point favorites over Liam Cohen, Trevor Lawrence, and the Jaguars, Everett Bank Stadium. It's going to be rocking. They don't get many primetime games, so to be able to go there and to welcome in the Kansas City Chiefs, the defending AFC champions, hey, man, whatever works out for them. Questions, comments, concerns, guys and gals, leave them there at the bottom of the screen. If you want to join in on the conversation, you can do that right there. Just click on the chat. Click on the stream, the link right there in the chat, streamyard.com/DZMNA4QSMV. Dave Velasquez got a question. Start Jamar Chase versus the Lions, Marvin Harrison Jr. versus the Colts, or Harrison versus the Titans, you meant. Jamar, they're going to be behind, so you're going to think they're going to be throwing the football a lot. Cardinals going to be out in front, you would think. But I think this is another game where they're going to try to get Marvin Harrison Jr. right. You start steps in the right direction there. With situations like this, I want to – oh, man, I just saw some breaking news on the baseball side. We'll talk about that. The Rays have announced assistant hitting coach, our friend of the program, Brady North, will not return to the Major League coaching staff for the 2026 season. He has been offered a different role within the organization. Interesting. Wow. Really? Wow. Rays have made a change their meeting. Wow. I'll have to talk to Brady about that. Find out the scoop, and we'll get it right here on the program. Sorry. Really, really interesting stuff there. I will go with Marvin Harrison Jr., though, Dave Velasquez. They're going to try to get him right, and this is an opportunity against a bad team where you're going to be able to take some shots and take some chances because you're a much better team than them. So, yeah, don't be surprised there at all. Don't be surprised if that's the case. And it's official. It is official. What's his name? Adam Pierce says on Monday Night Raw. It is official. Todd Bowles rules out Mike Evans, Bucky Irving, Jamel Dean, and Benjamin Morrison, as well as Christian Izzian for the game Sunday against the Seattle Seahawks. Talking about this now. Hold on. Man, surprised about Brady. I'm going to text Brady. That's my guy. Just saw the news. Good dude. Really, really good dude. And shout out to our guy, Greg Allman, man. Greg Allman. Unbelievable job that Greg and Rick shot. If you saw my tweet yesterday, it was so freaking funny. Just talking about Rick and Greg and their possibility that they may be available to play for the Buccaneers. There's just so many freaking injuries, man. So many injuries with this team. So I tweeted out yesterday. My sources tell me Rick Stroud and Greg Allman are in play to suit up at nickel for the Bucs on Sunday in Seattle. These guys know this team and this system inside out, and I think Tampa Bay will be okay. Greg says, I'm not your nickel old enough to be a Buffalo nickel, the wooden nickel, the pumper nickel. He's the man. And then Rick Stroud's like, you got to check your sources. He said, I'm questionable. It's a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. But yes, Greg just said, he just tweeted out what Todd Bowles confirmed, and we all assumed. Todd Bowles rules out 5 players for Sunday in Seattle. Mike Evans, Bucky Irving, Jamel Dean, Benjamin Morrison, and Christian Izzian. No surprise there. And if you're the Buccaneers, I mean, you kind of know. You kind of knew that this was happening, and you kind of knew that this was a possibility. And I think you're ready. I think you're ready for this. You're ready for the different guys to be able to step up in their absence. Christian Izzian's been out for a couple of weeks now. You knew Morrison was going to be out. You had a good idea Jamel Dean was going to be out. All right, you got Zion McCollum. You're going to probably elevate one of the, Bryce Hall, Kendall Vildor, probably keep Jacob Parrish at nickel. And if that's not the case, maybe you kick him outside. Maybe use one of the other safeties there in the nickel spot. There's plenty of different chess pieces you can move around. We knew Mike was probably going to be out this week. Maybe next week he'll be back. So not many surprises. We kind of knew this was happening. It wasn't a late injury that happened at the end of the week. And guys like Greg Allman from Fox Sports and Rick Stroud from the Tampa Bay Times, they're all over this stuff, as well as our pal Scott Reynolds from Pewter Report that's going to join us at 1 o'clock today. So next man up mentality, man. Next man up mentality. So just the way it goes. All right. College football side. USF back in action after a week off. This is one of those games tonight. It's going to be on ESPN2. There's some love for USF. There really is. People looking at them like, all right, they, even though they're not the main talk of the town like they were after they won those first 2 games. People still know, like, all right, they can ball. They can ball. I mean, obviously coming back down to earth a little bit with that Miami loss, but a throttling of South Carolina State. And now this is where it starts. This is where the season starts. And we've had this discussion with everybody at USF and saying all these different things about the start of the season and saying, hey, right, as great as that is, we got to focus on making sure that we win the conference. And it starts tonight against Charlotte. They're already 0-1 in the American. And with USF and Byron Brown, they have to get off to a fast start. We've seen this when it comes to this team, and something that is very aggravating, I know, to Coach Golish, is slow starts. Don't let Charlotte hang around. I want to see Gaston Moore in this game at some point. I want to see USF not wait to get the wheels rolling. Get on out there. Be up 14 at the end of the first quarter. Be up 28 or 35 by the half. Get a couple of drives in the third quarter and get these guys the hell out of there. USF is a 28.5-point favorite over Charlotte. Charlotte is not a very good team. You got to figure 20.5-point line is 56.5. So they're thinking that this game is probably what? 38-18 type of thing, something like that. 40 to 16, something like that. So I would guess what, 42-14, 42-17. I need to see more than that. I need to see a 50 burger. 50 burger tonight from USF. Come on, man. Don't be playing around. Don't be having your guys in the game longer than they need to be out there. Get out there, do your thing, get the hell off the field, and be healthy for the rest of the season. Not every team can say that they can do that, but right now, in this point of where you're at and who you're playing, go out there and take care of business early. I want to see a touchdown on the first drive. Other big matchups on Saturday, Georgia hosting Kentucky. We know it's a 19.5-point favorite, Georgia. Remember the game last year, too. Iowa State and Cincinnati. Cincinnati is a 2.5-point favorite at home against the Cyclones. Nippert Stadium is not an easy place to win, but I've got faith in Rocco Becht. This is one of those trap games, right? These are one of those games where, and when I say trap games, I feel like trap games hasn't been defined, or it hasn't been really explained as much as it should have. People for many years thinks like trap games is like you're overlooking a team. I don't necessarily think anybody overlooks anybody. I just think it's hard to have that same type of energy when you have different expectations, when you have different goals, right? It's hard. It's hard for Iowa State. Like, you could do everything humanly possible to be ready for this game. Cincinnati's going to be at home. How much does that factor into it? It's a 12 o'clock start. It's tough. And they're kids. College football, people leave out the most important thing out of this entire thing. And they're supposed to be professionals, and they're supposed to be this and that. Bro, they're kids. They're 18 to 22-year-olds. Even though they're years away and they should be better. I'm not a could, should, would guy. You guys know that. They're kids. Shit happens. They have a bad day. They're thinking about their girl. They're thinking about school. Thinking about son. It happens, man. It happens. We can't explain it sometimes, and that's what pisses people off, but they're kids. Texas, Florida, Ben Hill Griffin, in the Swamp, 3:30. Gators going up against Arch Manning. This is a big spotlight for Arch. All right, Arch. The detractors are out. Where are you at? All right, Florida. We see what your schedule's looking like for the rest of the year. Some putrid loss losses so far. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? How are you going to bounce back? This is one of those show me type games. What are you all about? Gators win this game? All right. I think the belief that Arch is going into the draft ain't going to happen. This dude's definitely coming back to next year. But if Arch comes out and balls out, man, I told you, Gators lose this game. Don't be surprised if Billy Napier is fired and he's not the coach next week. And if they lose 2 in a row, I think he's done. Billy Napier is on thin ice. I don't care what the buyout is. Alabama and Vanderbilt. Number 10, Crimson Tide. Hosting the Commodores there at Bryant Denny and Tuscaloosa. Another 3:30 start. 10.5-point favorites are Alabama. Again, they've got me to come around. They've got me to think that, again, their demise is probably a little bit too early. Same thing with the San Francisco 49ers. So, all right, see what you got. See what you got. The top 20 matchup against another SEC foe. Let's see who balls out in that one. Notre Dame and Boise State. You want to see something that would be good for USF. Pull for Boise State. They're 20.5-point underdogs to the Fighting Irish. They're in South Bend. Boise State somehow finds a way to win that game, then, man, that loss to USF looks a lot better for the Bulls. Let's see some of the other big matchups. Texas Tech goes to Houston to take on the Cougars there. And then Ohio State hosting Minnesota. And then the big matchup. We'll finish off here. You see it. Not Miami, Florida State, Doak, Tallahassee. Only 4.5-point favorites are the Hurricanes on the road. Number 3, Miami, Mario Cristobal against Mike Norvell and the Florida State Seminoles. All right, Miami, you have everything in front of you. You have everything. You've beaten USF. You've beaten Florida. You beat the Noles, man. You run the state. You run the state. Tickets are as low as $310. What a ticket this weekend. 7:30 kickoff. That one, you do not want to miss that. Can Florida State prove that they are the think about this. If Florida State wins this game, right? And I think Miami's going to win. Don't get me wrong. But if Florida State wins this game, their 2 wins would come over number 8 at the time, Alabama, and number 3, Miami. That's wonky as hell, man. That is crazy. Of course, we know what happened against Virginia, the overtime loss. We get that. But you look at their slate the rest of the way. It's hard to think. I mean, you look at them right now. They're 18th in the country. They win this game, you would think they're probably in the top 10. And their slate the rest of the way. Pittsburgh, Stanford, Wake, Clemson, Virginia Tech, NC State, and they finish at the Swamp against the Gators. Who knows, man? That's one of the teams where it's like really you kind of look at one end of the spectrum. You know, if they lose this game to Miami, they'll probably be a fringe top 25 team, and then the rest of the season is kind of it is what it is, right? But if they win this game, you start looking at them, you're like, damn, what is Florida State? Because I see like guy like Paul Feinbaum talking about like, oh yeah, it doesn't mean as much anymore because of how the teams are. You can't say that. You can't say that. You can't take anything away from the Florida State Seminoles for their win over Alabama just because Alabama looks better now. So what? Alabama loses to Vanderbilt and then they're a fraud? Like, that's not the way it goes. Like, it's college football, man. Regardless of, we get so caught up in the rankings of these teams. Like, every single week is another battle. You never know what the hell is going to happen. That's the beauty of college football. And again, they're kids. You don't know. There's no if with the Seminoles, Jay. It's when they win. I wouldn't go there. Look at these guys. I'm sorry. I'm not going with you on those. Dolan. I'm not a fan of either team, but I do remember all those great games between Miami and Florida State. I'm hoping for a good competitive game on Saturday. Miami by 10. Yeah, I mean, I said this before, and I'll say it for as long as humanly possible. College football is better, way better, when the teams here in the Sunshine State are battling it out for supremacy. Like, it's not close to me. Not close. When you look at Florida State, Miami, it's just an interest level. And you know, like, a lot of those guys are going to be playing at the next level. I just hope it's a good game. Miami, they win that game. I think they solidify themselves as, a number 2, number 3, number 4, they're a top 5 team, right? They're top 5. On the other hand, if you are Florida State and you win that game, right, we're at a different conversation all the way around. So there's a part of me, because I like chaos. I do like chaos when it has nothing to do with teams that I cheer for. I would like to see Florida State win that game. I don't think they will, but I would like to see it, because then it's like, all right, where are they at? What happens with Miami, right? We'll see. We shall see. Who watched that Lightning hockey game last night? What the hell happened there? Lightning, Panthers, my God. We're going to get into that in 1 second. But first, again, follow me on all social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. Like and subscribe on YouTube. But a big announcement right here on the program. Big announcement. I am going to be part of a new show. Well, it's not a new show because they did it last year, but they're bringing it back this year for the 2025-2026 season. It is a show called Sticks and Stools. Sticks and Stools, which is going to be on YouTube, and it is going to be before Lightning games on their YouTube channel outside of Benchmark International Arena. Now, it's not going to be every game. We won't be there for opening night next Thursday, but we will be there for Saturday and a bunch of other broadcasts as well. But I'm super excited for this. Sticks and Stools show. It's like a pregame show for the Tampa Bay Lightning on YouTube. We'll be outside the arena, and it'll be myself alongside Danielle McBroom and John Senning. You'll hear them today, I'm sure, on 102.5 The Bone. I've known John for a couple years now. Really, really great guy. Got his own show, the Senning Show, there on 102.5 The Bone. I got a chance to meet Danielle today. They have such a great rapport. They're good buds. So I am so excited to announce that today. They're announcing it on their show as well. But Sticks and Stools with Danielle McBroom, John Senning, and Jay Recher outside of Benchmark International Arena, before select Tampa Bay Lightning games on YouTube. So excited to be able to announce that today. It's going to be fun. It's not going to be a bunch of X's and O's and real stuffy. We're going to have a blast. And no, I can't wear my suit and my shoes, they said, but we're going to have a lot of fun. And I'm willing to put myself out there and look like a goofball and look like an idiot and have some fun with all of you guys out there. So when you go to Lightning games, show up early to Benchmark International Arena. Come check us out. Sticks and Stools with Danielle McBroom, John Senning, and myself. A big thank you to Steve Versnick and Brian Briesman and everybody with the Tampa Bay Lightning that are allowing me to do this. And just like wanting me to be a part of the family there and be a part of the Tampa Bay Lightning. So thank you guys for all the support. And also thank all of you people here on the Jay Recher podcast, all my guys and gals here that support me. And I just ask that you support Danielle and John and myself in this new endeavor. We're going to take it to the next level. Nobody else in the National Hockey League do anything quite like this. So we're going to have a lot of fun. And I just ask you to come on out to the arena. Come out early. Check us out on all social media platforms. And yeah, it's going to be a blast. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. So again, Sticks and Stools with Danielle McBroom, John Senning, and myself, starting not this Saturday coming up, but next Saturday at Benchmark International Arena. Going to be a lot of fun. All right, so the game last night, that goal by Connor Geekie, legit. And that's why, guys and gals, I want Connor Geekie on that first line. I think he's got enough skill to be able to play with Nikita Kucherov and with Braden Point. Like, I just want him to be there with those top guys. He's a top 6 forward in my eyes. But the fighting and the BS with this guy, Greer, sucker punching Brandon Hagel. I mean, you could say a lot of different things, right, about the Tampa Bay Lightning, and AJ Greer was fined over $2,000 today, the maximum allowed under the CBA. But the one big difference, people say, what's the difference between the Lightning and the Panthers? The difference between those two teams is that the Panthers didn't need to be goons. The Panthers didn't need to act like that in order for them, or excuse me, the Lightning didn't need to act like the Panthers have acted the last couple of years, where they've taken cheap shots on players I mean, we've seen it from Bennett and Ekblad and a lot of these guys. And it's just like, all right, fine. That's the way you want to go about your business. But karma's a bitch. And it's going to catch up to you eventually. And last night was just, man, you look at these teams, so many penalty minutes. And I mean, it's just pretty wild. It's pretty wild that that's what we saw from our preseason game. But Lightning win again. And the big news, if you missed it today, great sign. Andrei Vasilevsky on the ice once again. So all signs point to him to be ready for next Thursday for the season opener against the Ottawa Senators. But I wanted to bring something else up as well. You know, I know there was a lot of talk over the last couple of years whether the Tampa Bay Lightning and Florida Panthers had a true rivalry. Well, let's check the scoreboard. Tangible disdain and disgust for each other? Check. Each team getting over on one another in the playoffs and getting to the top of the mountain? Check. Fan bases that are getting into it in person and on social media? Check. Fighting in a meaningless preseason game? Triple check. 186 minutes in a preseason matchup last night at Benchmark International Arena. That's a resounding yes when it comes to whether this is a rivalry or not. Listen, no Hedman, no Vazzy, no Barkov, no Kachuk. It doesn't even matter. These two teams cannot stand each other. And for my money, right now, this is the hottest rivalry in hockey and may be in all of the four major sports in this country. Now, don't get on your high horse. I can already see people, you know, they hear me say that and they start giving me some historical babble about the Packers and Bears or the Red Sox and the Yankees. Let's just keep this in mind, right? They just played 3 games in the Bronx, and there were a lot more pleasantries than profanities between the two teams. The complete opposite of Don Zimmer charging at Pedro Martinez like a raging bull, okay? Lightning Panthers, Bolts Cats, the temperature is as high. The temperature is as high as it's ever been. And to me, it's only going to get hotter. These two teams clearly do not like each other, and it's not slowing down anytime soon. It's only going to get hotter. It's only going to get worse. These two teams are it's going to drag out all season long. They got a preseason matchup coming up this weekend. They're going to play a bunch of times in the regular season. This is going to boil over time and time and time again. You think last night was the tipping point? No, sir. That's just the appetizer. Just wait until the main course. Wait until the regular season. Hot and heavy between these two teams. It is wild. And for my money, the hottest rivalry in sports right now. What do you guys think? I think it is. I don't think at all. I don't think there's anybody else. I only hate one other hockey club more than Florida. Obviously, that's the Maple Leafs, but I don't see that. I like the way the Bolts stood up and said, we're sick of your shit. Yeah, that's what it has to be. In hockey, man, there is that fine line of the physicality. Like you got to be able to go out there and stick up for yourself and defend yourself. And if you don't do that, somebody's going to, they're going to take advantage, and that's not good. Greg DeCruz, are you going to wear your hard hat with the light for your new show? Right here, buddy. Oh, we're there. Boom, we're out here. Got to move the light over so you guys can see. Look at this thing, man. Bob the Builder. Can we do it? Yes, we can. Yes. Do I have to bring my hard hat out? Yes, I might have to do it. I love it. Honest Hammer, our guys. And a great segue right there to the Honest Hammer Custom Builders LLC. Guys, just go to thehonesthammer.com to be able to check out everything that they have going on there. And let's take a look at the website here as I share my screen with you. All the commercial and residential needs that you have, they got you, man. They got you. And again, when you're making all these changes to your house and you're spending all this money, you want to make sure that you spend your money with people that you trust. Russ and the folks over at Honest Hammer, like, I could not say more nice things about them. Go to their website, services, the portfolio, estimates about us, and follow them on social media. I just saw yesterday on Instagram the next level of where they're at as far as, let me see if I can pull it up for you guys. I'm going to pull it up right here. Hold on. Honest Hammer. All right. Bro, the next level of the video. No, that's that. Check this out. So they're doing both of these at the same time. 2 custom homes. Can I full screen this? Just check this out. Okay. We're going to go share this tab instead. Are you there? There we go. Look. Honest Hammer. Look at this. The 2 custom homes at the same time. And we saw, if you watch me on social media, you saw that all this work wasn't done quite yet. But they're getting these 2 custom homes done at the same exact time. Russ is such a great dude. Right on the waterway there in St. Pete. Man, look how far they've come. Just in a couple weeks. I was there 2 Thursdays ago. These guys are unbelievable. TheHonestHammer.com. Send them an email, TheHonestHammer@gmail.com. You want any kind of work done, tell them that you heard it right here on the J Recher podcast, and they'll give you a discount. Go check them out. Honest Hammer, General Contractor Company, CGC 153116. Give them a call, 813-244-0956. Kitchen, bathroom remodels, new and commercial construction, custom homes, interior and structural renovations. God, man, I can't say enough things about our friends over at Honest Hammer. They are the best. All right, also, EverHealth. EverHealth. Think about that. What we talked about yesterday on the program, the EverHealth injury report with Dr. Rodriguez, all over it. Now, I went there earlier this week, and I'm going to post something on social media here over the next couple of days when it comes to EverHealth. When I went in there, I was so impressed about what I saw. And I'm like, why don't more people know about this? And it's been 10 years in the making. But for EverHealth, if you're looking for a place and you just don't know where to go, or maybe you don't know what place takes your insurance, or maybe you don't have insurance, okay? They take all kinds of insurance. They take everything. And if you don't have insurance, they have a sliding scale, and their copays are very, very low. There's 17 different locations in Pinellas County. If you could just take the short drive, if you're on the Hillsborough side or you're on the Pinellas side, go to EverHealth, man. Everything from cradle to the grave. You, your family, dentistry. They have the EverHealth Institute. I mean, my God. The EverHealth Institute, where you can, and I have to just make sure that I say them right every single time, right? Medical assistant, dental assistant, behavioral health technician, radiation technician, pharmacy technician. So EverHealth is not just one of those things where you go there if you're sick or you don't feel good or you're trying to get a checkup. EverHealth is there if you're looking for a career. Do you know you have a son or a daughter and you don't know, and one of those 5 careers seems like it stands out to you? Go there. Go there. It's very affordable too. You don't have to go through a 4-year school like we see in other places. Go there. I think it's like 7 to 9 months or something like that. It's less than a full year. Go there, and then you can work there. That was like an 85% graduation to like employment rate there. Like, dude. And everybody else probably goes somewhere else like to work. Maybe you work at a different hospital or a different place. Like you want a different atmosphere. But man, EverHealth has so many things to offer. It is a beautiful, beautiful thing. I'm so glad to be partners with them. And again, EverHealth, everhealth.org, EVARA health.org. Go check out Dr. Rodriguez, man. He is the best. Scott J, come on, everyone. Like and subscribe to Jay's podcast. He's doing a great job. We need to spread the word. Have a great weekend. Go Bucks. Thank you very much, Scott. Very nice of you. And I appreciate everybody. And again, appreciate all of our friends that have donated via the super chat. I implore all of you guys to be able to help out if you can with the super chat. Every little bit helps. $10 from our guy, David Terry. Sean Thomason chipping in with 10. Benny with 5. Keep it rolling. You Jaybirds. Later Skater, our guy Chan with $10. Sorry I missed the doc yesterday. $2 from our guy Greg DeCruz from Costa Rica. You are the best. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. I cannot do this without you. Like and subscribe to the podcast. Everybody, if you're watching right now, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok. I don't care where you're watching from. Facebook, YouTube, or Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter/X. Everybody right now, kill that like button for me. Kill that like button. Let everybody know that you're watching this program. And we got a huge guest coming up next. We know our guy, Scott Reynolds from Pewter Report. He brings it. He's all over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Nobody quite like our guy, Scott Reynolds from Pewter Report. We're going to break down the Bucky injury and a little bit of everything because, man, it is just, it's next man up mentality for this Buccaneers team. No excuses. They're not sitting out there bitching and moaning, whining and complaining. They know They know this is the National Football League. They know that they are going to be in a position where, oh man, getting some other offers here. I got stuff to do. But I got faith in the Bucks, man. They don't complain. They're not the team to complain and bitch and moan about the guys that they don't have there. As much as we talk about it on the outside, that kind of conversation doesn't go down within the walls of the Avon Health Training Center and One Buccaneer Place. They're not. They're just focused on the task at hand. And the good teams out there in football, they look at situations like this as opportunities for these other guys. All right, Josh Williams, let's see what you got. You impressed in that last preseason game. If he gets in there on the offensive side of the ball, maybe. I think he'll be more of a factor in the return game because your depth has been challenged a little bit on offense. I don't think you'll see Sean Tucker maybe returning as many kicks because he'll be the backup to the backup to Rachaad White, and he'll likely see time. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that he will see time. Now, this is up to Rachaad. All the talk about RB1 going into last season, and here comes Bucky Irving, and by the end of the season, he was RB1, right? All right, Rachaad, now's your opportunity to go out there and do your thing. I want to see Rachaad White be decisive. Rachaad White needs to go out there. Don't hesitate. Don't dance behind the line. You're not Le'Veon Bell. Go out there, hit the hole. Hey, bring some of the thunder, buddy. You want to prove to everybody that you still got, that you're a guy that is a force to be reckoned with. Now's an opportunity. This is an opportunity on Sunday for a lot of guys. And I'm excited to see who rises to the occasion. This guy always rises to the occasion because he's one of the best voices when it comes to our Tampa Bay Buccaneers celebrating, 30 years now? I saw the jersey that you were presented by Brian Ford. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
The one and only Scott.
It's going to go right there once it's framed. So
yeah, buddy. I figured. I was like, that's definitely going up in your man cave there. Scott, how's it going, man? How was your Friday?
So far, so good. It's always a Friday. I can't complain when it's a Friday. It's the best day of the week outside of Saturday, right? Because there's no Bucks game to cover yet, and we get to watch college football. But Friday is not bad. It's like Saturday Junior. So
you got that right,
buddy. In there. Yep.
We heard the news, and it was really no surprise of who was going to miss this game on Sunday.
Yep.
And I think the Buccaneers knew, like they had an idea of, all right, we're going to be without these guys and some of the bigger names.
Right.
And, Christian Izien was out, of course, Mike Evans, and then knowing Bucky, and that's the one thing that, it's one thing, and you've seen this as well as I have, Scott. When a guy has a boot on, sometimes it's a precaution thing, and sometimes he'll be okay on Sunday. But when a guy's got crutches too, and he looks the way he looked, you're like, all right, dude. And we had the doc on yesterday with the foot sprain. It could be 2 to 4 weeks, but I mean, looking at Bucky Irving, I think it's just a prime opportunity for Rachaad White to be able to step up. Talk to me about this running back room, how much we could see of a guy like Sean Tucker, and how Josh Williams fits into the mold. Is he going to see any snaps offensively, or is he just going to slide in for Sean and maybe take some of his return duties?
I think initially Josh Williams will be that kick return guy replacing Sean Tucker, because you only have 3 healthy running backs right now, and Josh Williams will be active. Bucky will be inactive on Sunday. And you're right. It's a huge opportunity for Rachaad White. It's also a big opportunity for Sean Tucker, who's barely had any touches on offense this year at all. He's kind of been a contract year as well, given the fact he's a restricted free agent. So both he and Rachaad White looking to enhance their value for next year when Mike Greenberg and Jackie Davidson and Jason Light convene to figure out how much to pay these guys, what type of contracts to offer. So this is a good opportunity. Sean Tucker, the last time he was technically RB2, was a good game for him in New Orleans. Ran for over 100 yards and had his first 2 touchdowns in the game, scored a rushing and a receiving touchdown. And really the thing is, though, the Bucks dropped a 50 burger in New Orleans there, and that's why Sean Tucker was able to run wild, because that's all they did in the second half was run the ball. They had 277 yards of rushing yards against the Saints. This is going to be an uphill climb. It's going to be a tougher matchup, because as good as Tampa Bay's defense is in stopping the run, ranked 5th in the league right now at 85 yards allowed per game, Seattle's right behind them at 89 yards per game. So they rank 6th. So this is going to be whichever team can establish the better running game, in my opinion, wins this game. And, I do expect that Rachaad will be up for the challenge. He's done a much better job of kind of doing what you don't want him to do, and I don't want him to do, which is hesitate. I think he's been more decisive in hitting the holes. And I also think, too, having this version of the offensive line be the same as it was last week, with Wirfs back at left tackle, Bredesen back at left guard, Graham Barton back at center, and having 2 games worth of consistency now with Luke Haggard at right guard and Charlie Heck at right tackle, that feels like it should give Tampa Bay's offensive line a little bit more continuity, and that should show up in the running game.
Yeah, I always think that's one of the hardest things to quantify in sports. I usually say that about off seasons, where you can kind of gauge on how much better or worse a team has gotten based on the trades and the free agents and the drafts and the players that go in and players that go out. But it's really hard to quantify like how much better a guy gets from year 2 to 3, how much worse maybe a guy gets from year 7 to year 8, right? I think that's a little bit of a microcosm, an example here where, you could look at the guys that aren't in there, but how much will that continuity help that offensive line going in and out second week of having 3/5 of who you thought your starters were going to be? I want to ask you about Josh Grizzard. What does he have to do to kind of help this offense this weekend without Bucky? And also, how would you grade his performance through 4 games so far this season?
I think it's pretty much what I expected from Josh Grizzard, which was a little bit better than Dave Canales and not as good as Liam Cohen. And that's to be expected because, while we look back and say, wow, these 3 offensive coordinators, Canales and Cohen and Grizzard, didn't have any play calling experience at the NFL level. Liam Cohen had 2 years worth of play calling experience at Kentucky. And to me, the SEC is like NFL junior. I mean, it's that good of a conference. And so when you're undermanned and from a talent standpoint at Kentucky, and you are having to go up against the likes of Alabama and Georgia and Tennessee and LSU and Auburn and those types of defenses, you got to be creative. You've got to dial in, and points are going to be at a premium. And so I think Cohen was allowed to kind of hit the ground running a little bit faster last year because he had that experience. He also called a couple games during the last half of that 2022 season where the Rams were kind of in the downward spiral, and Sean McVay was like, God, do we even want to coach anymore? He was kind of burnt out, and he gave a couple of those games to Cohen. So, he had that experience, and I think that's why it showed up last year in 30 points per game in Tampa. Grizzard, I think, has been better than Canales was his first year because of that experience with Liam Cohen on this staff, kind of seeing how this was all put together. He wasn't starting from ground zero or starting from scratch like Canales was, bringing in an offense, hiring coaches that he didn't know, about, and then trying to put it all together and learn on the fly. That was a little bit more difficult. And that was also Baker Mayfield's first year with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, the offensive line, et cetera. Now, Grizzard comes in. This is Baker Mayfield's 3rd year. He knows everybody. There's continuity from a personnel standpoint. There's continuity in the playbook. We're seeing some Grizzard wrinkles and a little bit of variations, more shots downfield. That's what Josh Grizzard wants to do, to get more chunk plays and explosives. And we certainly saw that last week with 2 70-plus yard touchdowns. Not exactly by design, either one of those, but it's that mentality that he has kind of infiltrated Baker Mayfield's brain and say, hey, get the ball down the field, But I think this week, and how I would attack the Seahawks, they don't do a great job defending screen passes. This might be the week where you look at it and say, Baker's kind of strayed a little bit from his success last year. Only 1 interception, which is good. What does he have? 8 touchdowns. That's really good. But he was completing passes at 71% last year. That was a franchise record, a career high. And Jay, it's kind of drifted down to 59%. I think it needs to be in the mid-60s.
Right.
The further you throw the ball down the field, the less accurate those passes are going to be, the less likely they're going to be caught. That's just a function of going down the field. And I'm not saying 50-yard passes down the field. I'm even saying beyond 10 yards. The completion percentage just drops for any quarterback around the league. But this might be the week to get those quick rhythmic throws out of Baker Mayfield's hands, the slants, get the yards after catch that you can. And utilize the screen game, running back screens, wide receiver screens, tight end screens to Kate Otten, who'll be going back home to Washington. Maybe this is the week where he kind of comes alive as a pass catcher. So Rachaad White, tremendous with the ball in his hands on out of the backfield, whether it's a screen or a flare pass. Sean Tucker, his first touchdown was out of the backfield on a pass in New Orleans before his rushing touchdown that game. So That's what I'd like to see from Josh Grizzard and Baker Mayfield this week is dial it back a little bit and don't put the ball in harm's way. This is a Seattle Seahawks secondary and defense that already has 7 interceptions in 4 games.
Unbelievable, man. They have some absolute studs back there. Another guy that has been utilized in the screen game. It was great to see him back last week. It was Chris Godwin. Yeah. What did you make of his, first game back? And we've seen him come back from a devastating injury before, and we remember a couple years ago it took him a little while, man. He didn't hit the ground running as the Chris Godwin that we all know. We certainly didn't see the guy that we saw in the first couple of weeks last year when people were saying, "Is he the best receiver in the NFL right now?" We didn't know, but. What did you see last week? And if he's not, 100%, when do you expect him to kind of be back to the Chris of old?
Rusty receiver last week. He dropped some passes he would normally catch. I don't think the routes were as crisp as snapping those off, creating the separation as he had, in previous years. A couple things. He's 29 now. Last time he was coming off that injury, you're talking about that knee injury, he's 26, 3 years is a bit of an eternity in the NFL. It's a young man's game, always has been, always will be. Not that 29 is the death knell, or it's not like the Grim Reaper is knocking on Chris's door at age 29. But, Father Time catches up with everybody. And so it's going to take a little bit longer, I think, for us to see the Chris Godwin of old. Now, I hope I'm wrong. I'd love to see him come out with a 100-yard game and get a tutty or two on Sunday in Seattle. And I'm not going to say that's not going to happen. But I did see a lot of rust. I think it was good for Chris, though, Jay, just to get out there. And 2 things I noticed. Number one, there was no pitch count on him. He played a ton of snaps.
Yeah.
I think he might have even outsnapped Emeka Egbuka on Sunday or close to it. Number 2, he's been back practicing for a month now. And so you can get all the conditioning you want. You can get back to playing at football speed, and you can get your wind back and all those types of things. But you know what? Chris wasn't tackled in practice. He wasn't hit in practice. And he needed that. He needed to get tackled and have his legs rolled up and drop to the ground and block and really try to get on an Eagles defender and really kind of torque and flex that ankle and have it hold up just to kind of get over that mental hurdle. This is a different injury. This isn't a knee injury. He's already been there and done that. This is an ankle injury, a more serious one. Took him out 11 months of action, really. But I was encouraged by the fact that he played a bunch, survived it, and then I think kind of probably got through that. Okay, I can do this. The ankle's going to hold up, whether I'm blocking, whether I'm coming out of my breaks and routes, or whether I'm getting off the line of scrimmage, or whether I'm being tackled. The ankle's going to be fine.
Scott, I got to ask you, because we haven't dealt with it so much in the last couple of years, but prior to that, there'd be times in the press conference room, whether it's practice or games, where you're listening to Dirk Cutter, you're listening to Lovie Smith, you're listening to Byron Leftwich, you're listening to Jameis, and you're just like, all right, it's the company line, or it's something like, all right, well, they can't really tell us the truth. I really feel like we haven't had to deal with that the last couple of years, right? Everything's kind of been on the up and up.
Right.
But I got a little inkling. I don't know what it was, if it was like a little bit of a syndrome, or when we're talking about the punt game here. With Coach the other day and Riley Dixon, and I just start looking around. It's just like, I know people don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but Scott, if you're Seattle, you're salivating. And I watched Coach with the Giants. I mean, I've seen this, right? My dad was like, "Is that the same guy with the Giants?" I'm like, "Yes." Don't remind me, you were there. I remember the blocked field goal, that one game with Daniel Jones, and they got smoked on opening night. How is it going to be better? Is it going to be better?
It's not, because nothing's really changing. I mean, you can just say, do your job better. But if you can't do the job, then it's not going to be better. Riley Dixon, he's 32 years old. He has a long, slow windup. Go back and look at every punt that he's had, and I've done that. There was a close call or two in week 1 in Atlanta. There was another close call in that Houston game before the block in the fourth quarter. There was a close call in the Jets game where he didn't have a punt block but came close. So it was no surprise to me. Matter of fact, I actually called it up in the press box. I have witnesses. I said, this one's going to get blocked. And sure enough, it was. And so part of it is the protection up front. I think Evan Deckers, the long snapper, was guilty of really whiffing his block. But I don't understand the mechanics of, hey, if you can snap the ball 10 yards, 12 yards, 15 yards, whatever, like step back a yard, okay? And if you're afraid of out kicking your coverage, I mean, you're only talking an extra yard here, man.
Right.
This isn't rocket
Mhm.
science. This is not hard to figure out. Give yourself a little bit more cushion. If you have a long, slow windup, if you're 6'4" like he is with long legs, okay, like adjust, adapt. Whether it's a yard, half yard, step back further. I mean, we're so kind of like beholden to all these rules. Well, if we're going to kick a field goal, it's got to be 7 yards from the line of scrimmage. Says who?
Yeah, right.
Says who?
Right.
I mean, everybody does it. But I
Mhm.
don't know. There wasn't really the tush push until the Eagles said, hey, why don't we just get like in a rugby scrum and try this out? Oh, it works. Let's keep doing it. Like, duh. Football is a game of evolve or die. We see more innovation at the college level than the pros. And sometimes you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And I'm afraid that's the case with Thomas McGahee. Whether it's this week or next week or another week, there will be another blocked field goal or at least a punt. Maybe not a field goal, but Seattle's blocked both a field goal and a punt. So I don't have any confidence in this. This is a roller coaster that roller coasters they're either fun or they make you sick to your stomach, right? It's either let's go again or I can't wait to get off. And unfortunately, with the kicking game this year, it's like, please let me off this ride. I'm nauseous seeing this on a weekly basis. 3 blocked kicks in the span of 4 games is unacceptable. And if it happens again, honestly, Todd Bowles needs to fire him midseason, put Keith Tandy in charge, and just say enough. And they need to find the new punter. They really do. If this happens one more time because of a slow, deliberate, long wind up, I'm done. I don't care what he does when the ball's punted. He's costing the team points. 3 points in Houston almost cost them the game in the field goal and the blocked kick in the fourth quarter. The touchdown last week against the Eagles, they were chasing those points the entire game, and they never caught up to them. They lost by 6 points. So I don't know, Jay. I wish I had better news for you. I don't have the faith it's going to get better.
I'm with you, buddy. I am right there, lockstep with you, because this is too good of a team to blow any type of games on stuff like that. And I'm watching a team like Dallas, and I'm just like, Dallas, everybody blows them up, and they're going to be so good. But Brandon Aubrey is money, and Kevontae Turpin is money when he's the return game, right? So you look at those aspects of the game, and you're like, man, you know what? For all the smack we talk about Dallas over the years, like their special teams is usually pretty spot on.
Yeah.
And when you're a team that has Super Bowl aspirations, you're trying to go on a lengthy postseason run, dude. Can you imagine if that happens in the playoffs? Can you imagine if the Buccaneers? It's gonna cost you the season.
Yeah.
Forget about costing a game or costing you points. It could cost you the season, and then what? Then the pitchforks are gonna be out. I'm with you. I'm not usually a person for like calling for somebody's job, but like, dude, there's a lot of things that aren't lacking. This team is dealing with a lot of injuries, and you are not holding up your end of the way. It's got to be just they need to. The only way that they don't get fired, Scott, is if they have a Chase McLaughlin like turnaround. You want to quell some of the fears that people have?
Yeah.
Go kick a 65-yarder. Go kick another 50-yarder. It's like, all right, Chase, you're back in our good graces. But I just don't. I'm with you, man. I just don't see that happening.
I'm with you, Chase McLaughlin. And here's the thing. Special teams kickers literally have nothing to do with kickers. Special teams coaches. They have nothing to do with kickers. Most of the time, they avoid them like a plague because kicking is like 90% mental, right? So a lot of times, all special teams coaches do is protection and coverage, right? And that's pretty much it. If you're a kicker, you have one job. Kick the ball through the uprights. That's it. If you're a punter, you have one job. Don't get it blocked and just get us 40 to 45 yards.
Right.
That's it. It's really that simple. And so for special teams coaches, I can't even give Thomas McGahee any of the credit for Chase McLaughlin's success because that's all Chase, man. And I've had plenty of special teams coaches tell me that. He's like, I don't go near a kicker. Are you kidding me? Like, I don't want to jinx the guy or get in his head. Like that's for him to figure out. And that it's kickers. Their best friends are the punters and the long snappers. That's the ecosystem. That's the bubble. Right. That's their psychologists, right? That work them out of any funks that they're in. And Chase is certainly out of it now. That's a great thing. It's a shame because Chase is doing the job with kicks now. Cam Johnson's doing the hell of a job with returns. Everything else is good. It just, hey, let's not have some punt blocks. If we can kind of do the bare minimum, like not have the punts blocked, I don't care if the guy kicks it 35, 40 yards, whatever. Just don't block it to create points for another team.
Yeah, you got a better chance of Chase talking to Jake Elliott on the other sideline or Martin Gramatica
Exactly.
up in the booth rather than talking to his special teams coach,
Right.
for sure. I want to ask you about the defensive side of the ball now that we
Mhm.
know that Morrison and Dean are going to be out. Do you anticipate Parrish kicking out to the outside, or do you keep him in the nickel spot and you bring up one of these guys that we know that are veterans? And just kudos to Jason Light. I think this is a huge thing of realizing when it went off the rails last year and you're looking at Hayes and some of these other guys that are special team. And I think Josh Hayes is a phenomenal special teams player.
Right.
But
that's his role, though.
That's his role, right? We saw it years ago. I forgot who the other guy was, just talking to somebody.
Ryan Smith.
Like, he was fantastic, but then I don't
want
to say out there on defense, right?
Right.
So what do they do now, knowing that Dean and Morrison are out? Do you think they keep Parrish at the nickel? Do they kick him out? What do you think?
I think they go back to the old Rondé Barber days where the Bucks under Monty Kiffin played a ton of base defense. They ran a 4-3, right? Todd Bowles runs a 3-4, but they played a ton of defense. This is back in the 80s and 90s, in the early 2000s, teams ran the ball a lot and they used 2 tight end sets. So Rondé Barber would start as an outside corner, and then when the nickel would come on the field, he would move inside where he was deadly with blitzes and interceptions, etc. That's what Jacob Parrish is going to do. I think he's going to be the guy that starts outside this week, and then in nickel situations, he'll come inside. So to me, I think that's what we're looking at. Is we're looking at Jacob Parrish playing every down just about at cornerback, whether it's outside or inside this week, and they'll bring in either Kendall Vildor or Bryce Hall to play in the nickel, probably moving Jacob inside, and either Bryce Hall or Kendall Vildor outside. But this is a great week for that to happen because Seattle runs the most 2 tight end sets just about in the league. They're rarely in 11 personnel, which is 3 receivers. So the Bucks aren't going to be in nickel defense much at all this year or this week, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts, no doubt about. I want to ask you about Yaya Diaby. I want to ask you about the pass rush because everybody keeps telling me about pressures this and pressures that, and it's like, yeah, I get it. I understand what pressures do. I'm not, but I also think it's a number that doesn't always tell you everything. Because if you have a guy that's constantly getting pressures, I know it can open up for other people. But last time I checked, Scott, I don't know if anybody has number of pressures in their contract for how many they get. They don't get a bonus for anything like that because
sacks get you paid. They get you in the
sacks
Pro
get
Bowl.
you paid, right? So and just people talk about hard hit balls in baseball and all, high danger chances in hockey.
Right.
And it's like it could lead to something, but I hate the could word. I want guys that get home. Home. You hear all these things about pressures. What do you make of Yaya Diaby in this pass rush through 4 games?
Great against the Jets, kind of invisible last week, right?
Right.
And I think that's the key for Yaya in year 3 is be that guy, be a consistent guy that's going to get the job done on a weekly basis. And I think that's going to be the key is getting him to where he's comfortable, rushing the passer outside of, or I should say opposite Hassan Reddick. And the loss of Kalashi Kancey inside, it's big. It really is. I think there's an opportunity this week, though, because I lay Tampa Bay's front 7 with the ability to stop the run. I don't have a lot of confidence that Kenneth Walker is going to have a big game by any means. So I think Tampa Bay's run defense can control the line of scrimmage. This team I think they're up to 32 tackles for loss this year already, which is an insane number. So to me, having the ability to stop the run on 1st and 2nd down is going to help get to some 3rd and long situations. And then you can set your pass rush free. The key matchup for me is going to be, I think his name is Anthony Bradford. He's the right guard. He's either Andrew or Anthony Bradford, the right guard for the Seattle Seahawks. He's the weak link. I would put Vita Vea in a 3 technique, not a nose, but a 3 technique. Isolate a 1-on-1 with him and beat the crap out of him on 1st and 2nd down. He is not good in pass protection. Big guy, 6'4", 334. Right. He lunges. He blocks with his head down. He's just not that good of a guy in pass protection. So I put Vita on him. Vita's got power and suddenness. I mean, he's a quick guy for such a big guy. Then on 3rd downs, I'm putting him in the spin cycle and putting Elijah Roberts, who's got a great get off, putting him 1-on-1 as a 3 tech over him to get some immediate pressure right up in the face of Sam Bradford. Then hopefully that forces Bradford to go side to side into the waiting arms of Yaya Diaby or Hassan Reddick. And then I'm mixing in some A and B gap blitzes with Hassan Reddick, with Servassier Dennis. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see more of Hassan Reddick playing at the linebacker level this week in base defense, with Elijah Roberts playing in place of him as an edge rusher. That, to me, would be a sound way to get your best players on the field, stop the run. And I'd rather have Elijah Roberts up front and Hassan Reddick at the linebacker level, where I can blitz him, where I can drop him into coverage. He's a great athlete, rather than just bringing in Deion Jones as an extra linebacker. So if I'm Todd Bowles, that's how I handle it.
Yeah, it's a great point too, because I look at the whole situation with Seattle, and kudos to them. Like, Clint Kubiak comes in and he takes Sam Darnold and he goes, "What did you do well last year for Minnesota? What Kevin O'Connell was able to do? And you ran the ball well with Aaron Jones last year. We're going to try to run all we can with Kenny Walker and Charbonnet." And you see the same kind of offense, and kudos to them, because I think it's really weird when you go out and get a quarterback that is a certain type of way, and then you have him rolling out and not handing the ball off and not play action. You have him thrown 45 times and you're wondering why he's not the same quarterback. So kudos to them, but I'm with you. If they can stop the run, I mean, man, that throws them off kilter. And if you have Darnold sitting back there throwing 40 times, that feeds right into the Bucs' hand. All right, before I let you go, Scott, just give me your overall impression of the team and how they've dealt with the injuries, and kind of what the next couple of weeks look like for the Buccaneers, because we know what the schedule is going to look like now. And you go home to San Francisco, but then you travel on the road to Detroit. What are you trying to hope for outside of stay healthy? Because I think that's everybody's kind of prerogative. But what are you looking for as far as the maturation of this team through this kind of next second quarter of the season?
Defense has played so much better on third down against the run. The total defense, they're a top 5 unit in terms of yards allowed. They're doing a great job, except for takeaways. 2 takeaways in 4 games is unacceptable. Only 1 interception, with all of this offseason talk about, we need ball hawks. We need ball hawks. They had 6 interceptions in the preseason. It looked promising, and it's kind of fizzled. So they've got to get some takeaways. You look at Seattle, they already have 7 interceptions this year. That's as much as Tampa Bay had all of last year. The Jacksonville Jaguars are 3-1. They went on the road on the West Coast, beat the 49ers last weekend, gave them their first loss. And had they do it, Liam Cohen's defense, they have had 4 straight games with 3 takeaways in each of those games. It's a new franchise record. Okay, so as much as Liam's helping that offense, it's the defense that's getting the job done in Jacksonville. And that is going to be key to, if the Buccaneers are going to win, they're going to have to win the turnover battle. And it can't be 1-0. It's going to have to be probably 3-1 or 4-2 or something like that. They're going to have to get the defense to take the ball away, because what that does, it does 2 things. It prevents the offense from scoring. It just steals a possession. And if you do on the right side of the field, like look at last week, the Eagles only had, they didn't even have a positive yard. They actually lost yards in the second half, but they created a takeaway in the end zone that prevented the Bucs from getting points. And they had a takeaway, the Bucky fumble, inside the Bucs red zone area or close to it that gave them a touchdown that was necessary for them to win the game. So they've got to do that. I applaud Jason Light for flooding the cornerback position, so we're not in the same situation where last year we were watching Tyreek Funderburk and Josh Hayes come in for Jamel Dean's injury. It's not just Benjamin Morrison. It's Jacob Parrish. It's Kendall Vildor. It's, by the way, Bryce Hall, who was cornerback number 3 last year before he got hurt in week 1. He's in the practice squad. He'll be elevated on Sunday. So they've done a really good job of attacking that. I think they got to start faster. Seattle's averaging 8.8 points per game in the first quarter. That's second most in the league. And Tampa Bay is averaging 3.3. That ranks 24th. Tampa Bay for this game has got to survive the first quarter. Whether it's 0-0, 3-3, 7-7, 10-10, 14-14, they've got to be at least even, if not ahead. They got to start faster than they have. And then last but not least, Jay, with these 3 games, they're going to have to win one. Whether it's this week, whether it's San Francisco, whether it's at Detroit. I think it's going to be next week against San Francisco at home. I don't necessarily like their chances up in Seattle. Can they win? Absolutely. I think this is a kind of an even matchup, just like last week. If you would have told me the Bucs were going to win, I'd believe you. If you had told me the Eagles were going to win, I'd believe you. Same thing here. This is kind of a toss-up game for me. Turnovers are going to tell the tale. But I do like Tampa Bay's chances at home against the 49ers. They've gotten closer each week, or I should say each year. They've played San Fran last year without Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. It took a walk-off field goal for the 49ers to win at the very end, 23-20. And Tampa Bay's defense is playing a lot better. I think next week is the time they finally get that 49ers monkey off their back and finally get a win. But I do think they're going to lose this one on Sunday. And that will, of course, stir up emotions of the last 2 years. Oh, no, is this a slide? Is this a 4-game skid? I don't see that happening necessarily this year. I think maybe they lose a couple in a row, but they're not going to lose 4 in a row like they did last year or the year before.
Scott Reynolds, Pewter Report, pewterreport.com. When's SR's Fab 5 coming out?
It's out today. It's out right now on pewterreport.com. You can check it out. I'll have a Pewter Pulse video later today on Pewter Report TV, our YouTube channel. And we'll have our Pewter pregame show at 9 o'clock on Pewter Report TV. Also streams live on X and Facebook at Pewter Report on Sunday morning at 9 o'clock.
Doesn't get any better than our friends at Pewter Report. Again, at Pewter Report, the one and only Scott Reynolds. If something happens with the Bucks, I said this the other day. If Pewter Report's not saying it, I don't believe it. So at Pewter
Thanks so
Report,
much,
pewterreport.com.
Always a pleasure to be on with you.
Always
Thank
a
you.
pleasure myself. Thanks, man. Talk soon.
You got it.
See you, buddy. Scott Reynolds, SR, man. He is the man. I love all the little details and all the statistics that he has. He is all over the place, man. We had 30 minutes, man. I didn't even realize we were going that long. We had such a good time today on the program. All right, so let's get to some of the things that are on this weekend. What else is on this weekend? Well, let's go with MLB playoffs first. The schedule. What is going on? Nothing tonight, right? Nothing tonight. Tomorrow, Saturday, October 4th, Chicago and Milwaukee. I love the divisional matchups. I love them. Chicago traveling to Milwaukee. The Cubbies and the Brewers. Craig Counsell going back to his old stomping grounds there to take on the Brew Crew. I give Chicago, I know the umpiring is terrible, but I give Chicago credit, man. I thought San Diego was going to win that game. I give the Cubbies a lot of credit. It's a big win for them, but Milwaukee, man, they just play the game the right way under Coach Murphy. It'll always be Coach Murphy to me, but Pat Murphy, yeah. Yankees, Toronto. 4:08 start on Fox, an AL East matchup. All right, Jays, this is the year. This is the year that you've wanted. This is the matchup that you wanted. Let's see what you are all about. Kevin Gausman is going to get the start in that one. Dodgers and Philly. This really should be the NLCS, in my opinion, but it's not. It's an NL divisional matchup at 6:38 on TBS. Shohei Ohtani on the bump for the Dodgers, and he'll be countered by Christopher Sanchez. And then 8:38, yet to announce the starters. Detroit in Seattle to take on the Mariners. Here we go, boys and girls. And then only 2 games on Sunday. This is a day off between games 1 and games 2 for certain teams, and others teams between game 2 and game 3. So the National League is just going to play on Saturday, and then Monday. It's smart. Don't go up against all the NFL games. But Yankees in Toronto 4:08 Sunday. Detroit and Seattle 8:03 on Sunday. We also have the WNBA finals. We have the Phoenix Mercury against the Las Vegas Aces. What an incredible job by the Indiana Fever, losing Caitlin Clark and dealing with foul trouble to Aaliyah Boston. And the way they were able to hang in there and take the Aces to overtime, they were able to come away with the victory there. I mean, it's hard to go against the Aces, man, with Asia Wilson, 4-time MVP, 17-game win streak. If I had to guess, I would think that they are going to win this one, but watch out. Watch out for that. A huge MMA card this weekend, UFC 320. Are you going to be tuning in? Are you going to be tuning in? Because I know I'll be checking it out. Magomed Ankalaev, the light heavyweight champion of the world. He will defend his title at T-Mobile Arena, UFC 320 against Alex Poatan Pereira. That's not the only title fight, because we also have a bantamweight title fight between Merab Dvalishvili, our guy from Georgia, trains on Long Island. He is the favorite against Corey Sandhagen. Again, Corey getting an opportunity for the belt. He feels like he's been overlooked. We'll see, man. Prove us wrong. A light heavyweight tilt between Yuri Prochazka against Khalil Roundtree. Really like that's going to be a good fight. Josh Emmett, the veteran, against Youssef Zalal. See if any of these other big names on the... Oh, Eben Shabazian. He's fighting Andre Muniz in the middleweight fight there on the undercard. I like that one as well. Patchy Mix, one of the best names in all of MMA, against Jakob Wiklach in that one. And Austin Vanderford on the card. Wow, against Ramiz Brahimaj. Austin Vanderford. Wow, look at that, buddy. Good for you. Good card. UFC 320. Make sure you check that one out. All right. On the soccer side, what do we got? Friday. Premier League today, Bournemouth and Fulham. I give you that one. That's what I'm giving you. Wrexham and Birmingham City on Paramount Plus. You can check that out. Ryan Reynolds, his guy there, Rob McElhenney. Saturday, October 4th. What do we got? Manchester United, Kingege, blah, blah, blah. That's what you get from me. You get that from me because you're pissing me off. You're still pissing me off. I'm not even going to say your full name. Arsenal hosts West Ham. 12:30 should be a good matchup tomorrow. Chelsea, Liverpool, live from Stamford Bridge. Let's see what Liverpool can do. They've gone on a little bit of a skid. They haven't looked as hot in the Premier League, certainly not in the Champions League either. On the German side, for the Bundesliga, the Borussia Dortmund, RB Leipzig matchup. That is a good one. 9:30. You can watch that one on ESPN Plus. You can check that one out. Italy, Inter, League One. I only tell you guys like the good ones too. So if I'm bringing them up, it's because they're good matchups, not because they're just like, I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm not going to do that to you guys. I'm not going to do it. I'll tell you the good stuff. Sunday, Brentford at home against Man City. Newcastle at home against Forest. All right. Sevilla at home against Barcelona, 10:15. After Barcelona lost to PSG in the Champions League during the week, you know that they're going to be out for revenge. Serie A. Okay, here's a good matchup. Juventus against AC Milan, 2:45 start. That's going to be a good one. Napoli against Genoa. Napoli, to me, is one of the most intriguing teams in the world right now. They really are. I mean, you look at it, they have Kevin De Bruyne, they have Scotty McTominay, they have Romelu Lukaku, they have Rasmus Højlund. They have a lot of guys from the Premier League. If you're a team that's looking for a team like outside the big teams to root for, Napoli is the team to certainly keep an eye on. Lille against Paris Saint-Germain, 2:45 as well. So plenty of good footy this weekend. But of course, we're going to be keeping our eyes on the NFL side. Buccaneers and the Seattle Seahawks Sunday at 4:05. Of course, we have USF tonight against Charlotte. I will be there for about a half, so make sure you go check that game out and support our Bulls. Let's get to some of your comments before we get out of here. Smashing Machine comes out today. You're going to watch? If I don't watch it this weekend because I got a lot going on, Greg, don't ruin it for me. The Smashing Machine about the great Mark Kerr, an incredible early fighter in the UFC, American, and he's getting portrayed by The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. Bro, everything that I've heard about this movie, it is incredible. I might not watch it today, but I'm definitely going to check that out very, very soon. Unbelievable. You know the deal, David Terry. Beat Chelsea, please. Beat Chelsea. I don't like them. Man, you got a tough on Sunderland is no joke. Who knows, right? Pereira and Marab, Corey going to give him battle. Yeah, because, you think about it. Marab is the guy that just outworks everybody, but that's kind of what Corey's known for too. But Marab's got a freakish pace, incredible stamina. That's why he's the ground game, man. You got to be able to out wrestle a guy like Marab. He's a freak, dude. He's incredible. He is incredible. What time does AFC Richmond play? Be a goldfish. There you go. Didn't catch your new show with the Lightning. How can I hear? Again, just announced it earlier today. Danielle McBroom, John Senning, Jay Recher, Sticks and Stools. You're going to be able to check it out on YouTube before select Tampa Bay Lightning home games at Benchmark International Arena. Our first broadcast, I believe, is on Saturday. Next Saturday, it's not going to be for the season opener just because there's so many things going on the plaza at that time. But it looks like Sunday will be there as well. Or excuse me, Saturday. Next Saturday we'll be there. And I cannot wait, man. Super, super excited about that one. All right. A big thank you to all of our guests today. Scott Reynolds for joining us on the program. All of you guys that tuned in and all of the super chats as well. 5 super chats. David Terry, Sean Thomason, our guy Benny, Chan, and Greg. God, I can't thank you guys enough. Really, really appreciate it. I can't do it without you. Our boy Jay's moving on up. He will never forget us when he makes it big. Of course not, man. You guys are the best. You've always helped me and been there. Dolan in the house as well. Watching from the truck. Somebody was talking about Taylor Swift the other day, and I was thinking about you, Dolan, being a big fan that you are. No, I'm always busting his chops about that one. Outstanding week. Thank you, David Terry. And again, we weren't able to get into it this week because the guy that is doing the t-shirts, unfortunately, he had to go away for a couple of days. He's back now, but we'll have the website up, the memberships up next weekend, man. We will be here and ready to go for you. A big thank you to Scott Reynolds from Pewter Report, everybody that tuned in, all the super chats, and of course our partners, Honest Hammer Custom Builders LLC, Ever Health. Man, it takes a village, man. It's an entire community here on the J Recher podcast. Finally, we'll end the show like we start the show. Happy 88th birthday to my grandmother. She is the best. She's the best person I know. And I wouldn't be half the person I am today if it wasn't for her guidance and leadership and just what she's been able to do for our family. So, Grandma, I love you. I hope you have a wonderful day. Have an extra piece of bacon for me at IHOP. I love you very, very much. Evolve, Dolan, Jay Gatto, everybody. I love you guys. Have a safe, a happy, a healthy weekend, whether you're here in the Tampa Bay area or abroad. And we'll see you on Monday, breaking it down. Hopefully it's a victory Monday. We're talking about a lot of dubs for our teams here in the Bay Area. 12 o'clock, Monday, high noon, another edition of the J Recher podcast. I love you guys.